To COVID-19 now and the ever-increasing anxieties of parents, teachers, and officials over the safe reopening of schools. While that is a provincial responsibility, today the federal government announced up to $2 billion to help out.
We wanted to make sure that resources weren't an overly limiting factor in doing things to keep our kids safe.
The money will be allocated based on the number of school-aged children in each province or territory. They can decide how best to use it, so long as it's towards school safety. Half the funds are available now, the other half early next year. But receiving that second chunk depends on showing how the first check was spent. Which raises the question for provinces and territories and their school boards. What are their greatest needs? Not surprisingly, the answer varies from place to place. Deanna Sumnak-Johnson takes a look.
They're normally for fun and imagination, but today, chalk drawings are a symbol of protest.
I'm worried, and I hope that the class sizes can be smaller.
So we need to see reduced class sizes. We need to see improved ventilation standards in our schools, and we need to see the funding to make that happen.
Even with today's federal announcement, some of the uncertainty will still remain, at least for a while. How, where, and when the provinces will allocate this money among individual school boards has yet to be determined. Class size is key in Saskatchewan and many other provinces, but there are other priorities across the country.
New funding provided provincially for 1.5 million non-medical masks, additional hand-washing stations, physical barriers, and cleaning supplies, as well as hiring more custodians.
Adaptation of learning spaces, improving air systems in schools, increased hand sanitization, hygiene, and testing.
Newfoundland is also among many provinces where students and parents rely heavily on school buses. That is certainly true in Quebec.
The health requirements have reduced the capacity in our buses, so we can't move as many kids as we used to. So we need more buses. And we need more bus drivers.
If the needs are clear, what most people need to know now is when is the money coming?
If the province doesn't make sure that school boards can access that cash, put it to work as fast as possible for the safety of our kids and our teachers and our communities, then that would be the biggest failure of all.
A concern felt in many provinces across the country. Schools in some places are supposed to open as early as next week. Deanna Sumnak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Newfoundland and Labrador's English School District is hiring more staff as it prepares to welcome back students next month. So that includes 25 more custodians who will work longer hours and 25 more guidance counselors. It's also adding administrative positions. This will all be funded by the federal support announced today. The province is getting $26 million. And all 60 of British Columbia's school districts have now released their back-to-school plans. Many are moving to a quarterly system, teaching students fewer subjects a day for blocks of time. Some large secondary schools will also offer a blend of in-class and distance learning. Student orientation starts September the 10th. So beyond class sizes and online learning, a big concern for many parents is, what if a student tests positive for COVID-19? Ontario released its plan for that today. Christine Birak takes us through the details.
Get in. Get in. Come on.
For most threats, schools have procedures. Students go inside classrooms. Everything is locked shut and parents receive alerts. But many aren't sure what happens if there's a COVID-19 outbreak at their school.
We have the safest and the most cautious plan in the entire country.
Ontario's plan defines an outbreak as 2 or more lab-confirmed cases in a school that are linked. When students or staff test positive, local public health units do contact tracing and decide if entire classes or groups should be sent home or if a school should be closed entirely. If a child is sent home with possible symptoms, it's recommended they go see a doctor, but not required. If public health informs a school of a positive case, it must be posted onto a web page. But no proof of a negative test result is required for anyone going back to class.
It may be an ear infection. They may have a history of that. So we want to be sensitive to the fact that children don't always get sick from COVID.
Some parents say the plan doesn't set out clear rules.
I think that, what they've put into place so far is still very gray. And again, with all of the, parents are suggested, it is highly recommended. That says to me that, people have a choice.
In Germany, students went back to class weeks ago. There have been infections, but no major outbreaks. Many credit quick testing, contact tracing, and managing community spread. But some doctors warn there's always risk.
We should expect cases. We should expect maybe a couple of classes to be put online for a week or two as investigations occur. That should not cause panic.
He adds, instead of having web pages telling parents there's been a positive case at their school, having clear, firm rules for everyone would give families far more peace of mind. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.